So, hello, this is Dr. Brianna Willie, and this is my channel, Business for Nerds, the Compassion Reset Edition. And today I have on the show Dr. Angie Polito Banner, and she is going to be telling us about her work with therapists and helping them burn the couch and AKA Rise with Dr. Angie. Did I get those right? And what else are you going to be telling us about? Do you have anything in particular you want to inform the audience?
I mean, I love this collaboration because it feels in alignment with, the compassion reset that you focus on. And so a lot of the work that I notice I'm doing with therapists go back to a lot of the same themes as why we're together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we resonate on a lot of things, I think. And I was just taking a look at some of your pages to kind of prep before. And I just have, since you've been talking on your pages about burning the couch, that just so resonates with me. And I think, yeah, like you're saying, we're really aligned with a lot of that the old way of doing things is no longer working. And you're helping therapists step into a new, more aligned path that works better for, sounds like, their nervous systems and better for their work life integration and that kind of thing. Anyway, I don't want to talk for you. Please tell us about Burn the Couch. Where did that come from? I love that.
So I think it's something I went through about 3 years ago. And my journey was, just something that every therapist is so scared and fearful about is like insurance clawbacks. And I didn't necessarily have a clawback, but I had denials. And there was also a cyber attack that happened. And months went by and I wasn't getting paid. And it got up to the point of like $50,000. And up until that point, I was already feeling pretty burnt out of like keeping up with insurance claims and hiring different people to try to go after money that was always missing. And I wanted to focus on the work that I love, which was therapy. So I got to just basically a complete burnout point where I'm just like, okay, this isn't sustainable. I'm also not making any money. I'm hitting my head against the wall, and I don't know how I can continue on this way except for going back to work for like government, which is what I used to do. That's also can burn you out. So I invested in learning marketing and I got off insurance, and I didn't really think that it was possible. But with that journey, I basically burned everything down. Everything that I thought that a therapy practice should be, I had to burn it down. And now I'm a different person, and my practice is completely different. So it works with my nervous system. And I want that for all therapists and all people that are in like healing professions.
Yes, building businesses that are more aligned with what works for us and is more sustainable in the long term. Because if we keep being, going through these stressful periods of, not having $50,000, I mean, that's a huge chunk of one's business. That could destroy a business. So you went back and looked at your system and you reevaluated and you realized that it just wasn't working that way anymore, it sounds like. And now you're helping others to, kind of zoom out and see, okay, maybe this isn't working this way. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I think we can see it in like the statistics, and we can feel it around us, right? Like I was looking at the statistic that was like 25 to 50% loss of therapists every single year. So
Well,
that shows you there's something wrong happening, right? And if it's something around 75% of us are on insurance, then most of us aren't really equipped to transition to cash pay. And I was told by plenty of supervisors as well and other therapists that I would never be able to, and that they tried it and it didn't work. So therefore, I probably wouldn't be able to either.
a lot of naysayers. And, and I'll just share, talking with you, I had been noodling on leaving insurances for a while, and I slowly had been ending contracts that weren't working for me over time, but I had been like a mixture of private pay and insurance contracts. And after, hanging out with you and others who were talking about like a different way of doing, therapy businesses, you were part of the inspiration to really step away now. So I'm even like, I'm almost down to one
Ah,
insurance.
yay.
So thank you for that. And, having these aligned conversations, I think helps us all just grow and change and reevaluate. And we need to hang out together to be inspired to reevaluate our systems. So I think it's great what you're doing. The field needs a change.
Yeah, no, and I'm happy to hear that our conversations have led you to that space because it is saving the industry as well. And I mean, there's no shame for people who decide that ultimately that's not what they want to do with their life anymore. But sometimes I question, is that really what happened? Or is it that we were given jobs that were impossible, right? To be like expected to carry emotional weight of other people, and then it's kind of done in like factory mill way where it's like get them in and get them out, get them in, and you start to have compassion fatigue, right? And then
Mm,
you feel like, should I be doing this anymore? I'm excited that somebody canceled on me. Like, what's going on here?
yes, listening to that part of the self. The in my dissertation work, I was looking into this type of thing, the parts of the self as pertains to business and compassion fatigue. Like, a therapist is not just a therapist. There's more to us. And I feel like a lot of us suppress the creative sides. I did that for like 10 years or more, to focus on the professional self. And then the professional self sometimes gets burned out, and we don't even know it because no one informed us about the risk of compassion fatigue, or we didn't hear about it until later. Um, I could go into a whole side trail with that, but I didn't learn about it until, oh gosh, I started to learn about. I had found the term vicarious trauma and I brought it to a supervisor and I'm like, I think I'm experiencing this. And they're like, no, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's a thing. And I'm like, oh. So for a while, I didn't even research it anymore, but it kept like, I had it in the back of my brain, like, this is something. So, and I eventually was led down the path to do the research on that. Anyway, enough about me. Back to you. What are your thoughts about that kind of thing? Like, there's not enough, or hasn't been in the past, enough information about compassion fatigue and burnout.
I mean, I think like on a bigger, like grander kind of system, I do think there's some, themes that culturally like that we're all kind of like working too much, right? But when you apply that to therapy, that's not a place that like you really can show up authentically and creatively. It does take a lot of like creative parts to listen to people's problems and stay, attentive. Um, when you're like burnt out or when you're feeling, whatever else is going on in your life, like it's hard to show up like that. And with insurance, you're kind of like almost forced in a way to have back to back sessions and to fill as many as you can because they are low rates. So it feels like a recipe. I mean, I think culturally, like a lot of people are probably feeling like 40 hours a week is a bit much. But when you turn that into therapy clients, which is what insurance wants you to do, and that's the only model we're really taught in school, then good luck like with having creativity with like the path to being healthy becomes more and more difficult over time.
Yeah, we're taught in our master's programs and other programs. Probably, I'm not sure about. Well, I did do a doctorate. It was in counseling though, but in psychology. I know you're a licensed psychologist. Did they kind of, what did they teach about who do you work for? Like, did they go over entrepreneurship or business or any of that? Even though many psychologists and therapists are self-employed, did they touch on that at all in your programs?
for courses that you could sign up for that weren't part of the core curriculum to finish your degree. So yeah, you'd be like paying extra for that. But for the most part, I mean, it was you're learning how to be an academic in a PhD program. So they assume that you're gonna, yeah, do private practice, but they don't talk about that much. It's more like, okay, you're gonna like educate people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty clueless. You just figured you work for like a paycheck or yeah, government agencies, but you don't really talk about entrepreneurship. And if anything, it's kind of looked at like a dream type job
Yeah.
where it's not really attainable.
Yes. Exactly. Or I remember in mine, it's been a long time now, but it was that was taught was like a community based, working for others, not really talking about solopreneurship, private practice. Um, they didn't really talk about insurance either. Like I was just kind of, I had to learn that trial by fire. you know, worked for group practices, had to learn that way. Anyway, um, there's a lot we had to learn, I think, on our own. And when you're in the middle of it and you need to get paid, it's difficult to weigh which insurance is working well with my business. You're just like trying to make some money, and do the work you've been called to. It's difficult to stop and think, is this working for me and the business? And it sounds like you're helping therapists zoom out to look at, is this working?
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, going back to school, it's not like it feels like they're not preparing you for the real world, right? And part of the real world is that we do have to get paid. And there's a certain amount of, getting paid that is going to keep us sustainable in our own life, whether it's paying bills or we have a heftier like emotional toll in the job that we do. So I personally feel like the way that I've had longevity in the field, because I have been in the field for over 20 years, is because I've had to recreate myself and invest heavily in my own healing sessions and go to therapy myself. Um, so yeah, they don't account for that. In some ways, it felt like the message is to just like take whatever you can get.
Yes, that's it. You just hit on that was the vibe. Take what you can get, stay there a long time, and nothing about entrepreneurship. Now, the supervisors I had who were entrepreneurs, they were the ones that taught me a little bit about the ropes, like in the internship after the master's program. Then I started to see, okay, this is how self-employment works. How are you with like coaching? It took me 10 years to hire a coach. I did it like DIY it. How about you?
I mean, I've always appreciated mentorship. So, but in academia, I kind of like, I always took advantage of, like the office hours or things like that. So I've always been like in that mode of trying to find mentors. I can't always say that like it was always like the best place to find them. As far as like coaching, though, hiring like coaches, I put that off for a really long time because I felt there's a bias towards coaches,
Mhm,
and they didn't feel as trustworthy to me to ask for advice. So I
mhm.
felt more comfortable going to other therapists, which was kind of the worst place to go because they were all the ones that were naysaying my ideas.
Yes, who had tried, self-pay, private pay, but it wasn't working for them, and that kinda thing. Mhm.
Yeah, so eventually I got to the point where I'm like, shh, don't tell anybody, but I'm gonna hire a business coach that actually is like specializes in helping therapists like get private pay clients. But I had asked some people about it too, and then it's like, I mean, you'll see the posts on Facebook, and it's like they'll have to turn off the comments because a lot of them are like, don't do it, don't waste your money, don't. And yeah, there's a lot of people out there that might not be helpful. But I do
Yes.
think that was the journey I had to go on, is navigating the coaching industry to find who can help me.
Yes. Yes, and you offer the best of both worlds because you have seen the other side, the business coaching side. You've done it yourself, and now you're mentoring other therapists to do it themselves, but with a guide, with support.
Yeah, and I'm providing, I mean, I think where I have like, come to in this place and time is that all of the experiences I've had were, yeah, they were like a little scary. Some of them were good and some of them I wish people would have warned me about, but now I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, like I can put together what was the best of what I got. And then also, of course, I'm a therapist, so I had hired some people that weren't therapists and didn't get the like therapy industry.
Mhm.
And also there's some compassion that I felt like was also missing from some coaching experiences I've had. And so I do love that like connection of having, a relationship with a person that can support you along the journey too, because it's not just about marketing. We really do have a lot of mindset blocks as therapists.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Could you tell us about what you do and maybe a little bit about that process, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so right now I'm primarily doing kind of like individual coaching, and I am building a course for group mentorship, which will be more sustainable long term. But the type of support I'm providing is mindset work, of course, and then also building out a practice that feels like more in alignment with what you can do. So and there's a lot of different ways of doing that. For some people, it could be I'm helping them raise their fees. For some people, it could just be getting off of like all insurance panels, or maybe they're not ready for that. And we're just going to get off one at a time. And then we're going to build up the cash pay. And the way that we build up the cash pay is I have methods, and a lot of it is like really presenting yourself in a way where it makes you more attractive to the cash pay clients that are going to come in looking for you. So I think when I look at therapists that are trying to market themselves, and it's a mistake I made too, is that like you land on their website and you're kind of like, I don't even really know what IFS is and CBT and DBT and da 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 da, right? It's like a lot of jargon. And then
Mhm.
also it's not about the client's problems. And the client needs to feel like when they land on your website that you're speaking directly to their problems. So that's something that
Mhm.
yeah, that I help therapists like just to see the little holes in their marketing and messaging, and then also boosting their confidence, because a lot of them are like, my client can't afford that, or they, this and that. So that's another, there's those two processes. There is like marketing yourself, and then the other one is the mindset work that I help them with.
I love that. I was looking at your website, the Stand store today. I see what you love about it, that it has all the different, your offer basically on one page, and it's clear. You speak about how you help. I think that's great. I think some of us get stuck in overbuilding, that we have like 5 pages or 5 websites that take people all over the internet. And I love how to the point yours is. I love the Psychology Today download. I haven't signed up yet. I was going to, but then realized I was out of time. But I think therapists really need help with that right now. I've been hearing in a variety of spaces that Psychology Today is not working for some people. But you have a free download. Is that right? Did I see that right? That's
Yeah,
cool.
I think Psychology Today I've heard people talking about it not working, but I've been in private practice, I mean, for quite a while now. And I mean, when I was on insurance, that was kind of also an indicator, because I had a wait list that was like a year and a half. So, I mean, people are like, well, if you have a long wait list, maybe try getting off insurance. And I still have a wait list, even cash pay. But the Psychology Today is kind of like a bucket, right? Like we can't rely on just like one thing. So that is one of the buckets that does give me good leads. And if people aren't getting leads, then I kind of would want to take a look at their profile and find out like what's going on with the profile that is yeah, making it difficult for you to get people in your practice.
Yeah. So you have the free download to help with that. And then you can also, I saw you do like a business audit. So would that be part of that if you did do an audit for someone, maybe looking at that site or whatnot? What would that involve?
Yeah, the audit's really good because I can take a look at people's like whole package of like, okay, where are you spending your time and energy into marketing yourself? And I can take a look at their website and I can take a look at their Psychology Today profile and find out where the gaps are so that that way it's instead of like buying a full course, right? And just like getting a bunch of new ideas, it's strategically going to locate where I feel the problem is and we'll just build that part up.
Also sounds like there's a little intuition there where you noticing and kinda vibing the gaps. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think after, I mean, that's the benefit, I guess, of being a little bit of an older therapist and like my experience and time in working in mental health is one part, but two is like I am that person that's gone through that. And I think of that sometimes the thing that was missing wasn't always like my website might have looked amazing, but when people would call me, I would freeze because I was scared to tell them the price. And I lost a lot of people like that. So there's more to it than just getting great marketing skills.
I will tell you what helps me there, and you I don't know what you do, but, an assistant. I just have my assistant do it because I can't. Yep. I
An
just
assistant is also important too. I think that's part of it if people need to invest. I don't always have an assistant. I've had gaps of time without them and I actually sell more. I mean, not, therapists might not like that language, but like I have more people wanting to do therapy with me when I'm the one that answers the phone. And if I
oh,
answer the phone, they're like, I got you for, like this 15 minutes or whatever. That's another thing I'm very protective of is the boundaries too, because we can give away too much for free.
that is why I had to hire an assistant because I was always giving away too much.
Yeah, no, I mean that's another those are strategies, right? That like if we can be, I mean, I'm not saying like I'm extremely rigid because I'm definitely not, but when systems are working and I know that like keeping that 15-minute consult to 15 minutes spares enough energy for me to then spend the next 15 minutes like taking a walk or maybe I have
Mm,
another person after that or something. But if I go over, that's when I start to become resentful that like I just gave away. Sometimes I have let them go on for 45 minutes, right?
that was
And
me. Mhm.
yeah, I just let them talk over me, but if I keep those boundaries clear, then I feel happier as a person and then I can give better quality therapy too. So
Great.
there's a lot of different components that I've had to refine over time.
Sounds like you've done a lot of work on yourself to be able to keep those boundaries. I gotta keep working on that, but anyway. That's why we hang out to help each other, you know? That's why therapists need to hang out together, I think.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, being in isolation and private practice can get you into some bad habits. So I think that's where the coaching did start helping me because someone was able to call me out and be like, that is not okay. Like why don't you sit down and start writing down how much free time that you've given away this week? And I started doing that and I was like, whoa, that's a lot of money I could have made.
Yeah, and that's where burnout can start to creep in, um, and I noticed it when I stopped doing that, when I either hired my assistant or had periods of better boundaries, I noticed I felt better in my work, in just all the things, you know? Anyway, yeah, compassion fatigue. Gotta watch for it. It's part of the job, but we gotta be aware, and ask for help sometimes. It's hard. It's hard to ask for help. We're the helpers. How do the helpers ask for help? Well, I think we're all working on it.
Yeah, no, that is another issue that I had, and a lot of therapists have that. Is like I'm taking care of everybody, but who's taking care of me? So one of those is having those boundaries. Another one could be having an assistant, right? So there's a lot of different ways that we can help ourselves, but
Mhm.
and I'm neurodivergent too. So maybe I need help in a different way that other people, don't necessarily need as much of that. But
Mhm.
yeah, if I put those in place, then I have more fuel in my tank for everything else.
Yes, that's so good. When you have the good boundaries, you have more you can give, or more time for you, like giving to other things like family, you know, or other areas of your life. Yeah, watching our batteries.
That was a realization. I would say, like, you go into this, like they talk about it in addiction. Maybe I was like an overgiving addict on Instagram. Talks about like in what ways is it costing you, right? To be on insurance or to have like a full schedule with low fee clients or things like that. And you start to realize, is it costing you like money, time? Is it costing you relationships where you're not able to spend time with your family or your loved ones, your self-care, your relationship with yourself, right? Creativity. Are you feeling
Mm.
like that's not there? And when you start realizing that there's like some invisible price that you're paying, like you don't always realize it until the body's giving out, and it's like I'm getting sick, or I'm getting headaches more, or nauseous, or I just don't want to actually even like get to work.
Mhm. Like you were saying earlier, I'm dreading my work sometimes. What does that mean? Do we sit and look at that? And I think both of us have at some point, and then we had to make some changes.
Right. Yeah. So that's where that, the auditing, but also like I was calling it like kind of energetic leaks where we're just realizing like, where's all my energy going? Oh, oops, I just gave away like 2 hours free consults when they were
Mhm.
supposed to be 15 minutes each. And I should have been done in 30 minutes.
And lawyers and medical doctors, they're not doing that. They charge, I mean, lawyers, what do they charge per minute? You know? And I'm not saying to go to that level. I'm not saying not to. It's just something to think about, like another, and also like sliding scale and all of that. Do medical and yes, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but many of us lean towards like the whole thing is a sliding scale, you know? Like we need to have boundaries with our money. It's a business. It needs to sustain us.
Yeah. And I mean, I look at it from a lens of like, I guess, sociology and just recognizing that it is a female dominated field and we're often expected, and it's a caregiving like type role too, right? So we're expected in some ways, like culturally, to give that away for free. So that is part of the process of going cash pay, is the informing your clients that you are no longer going to be accepting low fees or taking insurance, and you can get a pushback. And I do feel like there is some gender related issues with that is real, where it's like, well, but you're a
Mm,
woman and you're caring, loving, nurturing, person. You're not supposed to charge those fees or whatever, right? So I did feel a little bit
mm.
of that when I tried to go cash pay, that fear where, like you said, the lawyer is like so matter of fact, like
That's
there's
just
no
what it
free,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's no free anything here. Maybe
Yeah.
there are some pro bono, and I
Sure.
do pro bono now, but I started off pro bono basically and built my way into debt.
Yes, the business has to pay for itself. If we're not able to pay our bills for the business or our personal lives because we can't pay ourselves, or payroll, if we have a group practice and we're barely covering payroll and then not paying ourselves, there's something wrong. Sorry, I'm going to go on like a whole soapbox here.
Sure, that wakes everybody up, right? Because I needed to be woken up, and I had to have somebody, yeah, have a conversation with me that was not what I wanted to face. And I was in tears because when they told me that, like, you are giving away, you're basically being a martyr, right? Giving away all of this for free, saying that you can't charge, but at the same time, like, you're not spending time with your kids. And I thought that that was like the number one thing in your life. And I came to tears and I was like, yeah, that's true. So, and I wouldn't want any of my clients to ever like walk that same path. I would be
Yes.
behind them every step of the way saying, we're not doing that. No, you're
Yep.
not sacrificing yourself.
Yes.
So
So
then
it's
why would I step?
self-compassion. It's self-compassion to look at, applying it to yourself too, not just your clients. Um, yeah. And I'm saying this just as much to me. 'Cause, oh my goodness, I still fall into the trap of overgiving a lot. But, yeah,
And
that's why
that's
we
the
zoom out.
burning it down part. That's the burning it down is that like it's kind of like in a way like an ego dissolution where that old way of being is no longer serving me and I can't continue like this anymore.
Mm,
So I have to develop a new identity. I don't have to like completely burn it all down, but there are a lot of it that needs to be burned. And then you
yes.
rebuild something beautiful that's more in alignment with who you are. Or I mean,
Mhm.
the other side of it is like, what does it look like if we don't do something about it?
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of the phoenix too.
Mhm.
I have a psychiatrist friend that actually her emblem is the phoenix, and I think it has many, many different levels to it, but kinda like, you know, rising from the ashes too. Very cool. I love this.
And there's a lot of metaphors. I don't know if you practice act therapy, but act therapy has a lot of these metaphors too that, yeah, it kind of helps you see like, yeah, what is this process that I'm going through? Some people like metamorphosis, right? Like a butterfly, but when we feel this pain, if I'm sitting there crying or feeling like resentful or not wanting to go to work, that pain and discomfort's asking me to like pay attention to what the cause of it is and to change something.
Yeah. Part of why well, I won't go into tons of detail, but part of why I ending this contract is because I got this gut feeling every time a certain thing happened with this contract, and I started to pay attention to that feeling, you know, and it was, it took me forever to get there, but I got there, and we gotta pay attention. How are we doing? It's not just feelings, it's like more than that. It's like this, maybe a lack of resonance? I don't know. It's like things were no longer aligned with that contract. So, and then I'm like, "Oh, am I allowed to even say that? I don't know." Anyway.
About like what did you sign on that big O contract there too? Do we even know? We're not lawyers, right? And part
Mm,
of the creative process also of being a therapist that I absolutely love is that I take all the things that I learn and I can weave it into like the healing, and insurance has their own requirements of what we're allowed to do, how many minutes we're allowed to work, right? And then also the burden of the paperwork. So I have a very difficult relationship with the people who have created whoever they are out there, right? That are making, billions. I mean, it's $1 billion industry, right? And they
they
profit. Yeah, insurance profits off of auditing us. They profit off of not paying us and continuing to charge people, right? These rates and stuff for their, monthly expenses on insurance, but they really do screw over the providers like therapists, doctors, hospitals. They're shutting down whole hospitals. I mean, it's when you start thinking of like, okay, who is giving me my paycheck? They're not the greatest people if that's what they're doing, and I don't want to be part of this. So that's another part of that feeling out of alignment is like, who is giving you this paycheck and what are they making you do in order to get that paycheck? Is now my
yes.
nervous system's like this, right?
Yes, follow the money. Mhm. They're profiting from not paying us.
Yeah. And I mean, if I could trust that process, it might be a little bit different. And every state's a little different. Some states protect you more than others. Like Minnesota, I've always thought about getting licensed there because they do pay close to 200 an hour, I thought, or 180 or something like that.
Wow.
They take better care of therapists, but in certain states, like I was, yeah, licensed in a state that didn't protect therapists. So if you lose a lot of money, then well,
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah, this burning the couch, it has many layers to it.
Yeah. Yeah. As you can feel my rage. I had to get to the rage point of like, enough is enough. You like took all this money from me and my health, right? And my relationships with my clients were important to me too. And they don't, always fully understand it, right? But even if they don't ever understand it, it's part of my own self-care. So I had to care about myself enough
Yeah,
in
and that's
order to
how
make that.
yeah, and that's how we continue to show up, to continue to do the work. We gotta take care of ourselves or we're gonna pour ourselves out, like you were talking about energy before, and this takes energy, worrying about that 50,000, like where am I gonna get $50,000 to cover their audit, their lack of payment? That's so much money, and they're doing this to so many people.
Who can survive that too? And I mean, it took me years to recover from that because that affected my credit score because I couldn't pay people that were working for me and all of that because there were like several months worth of getting zero payments because they said this whatever cyber attack and stuff that they couldn't get the system right. And I'm like, okay, in the meantime, you owe me money, but I'm also not getting any paychecks. Like, what's going on here? So I was kind of forced to just be like, I got to get off insurance and start marketing cash pay. I What I ended up doing was also getting licensed in another state because for some insurance you don't get you have to get credentialed in each state. So then that can
Oh.
give you permission to quickly go into marketing mode in another state. But
Mm,
I had to get my like crap together really fast because I am a primary breadwinner for my family and it was starting to look grim, like losing my house, right?
oh
Like
my
things like
goodness,
that. Yeah.
that's so hard. And you rose from the ashes, and now you're helping others rise from the ashes.
Yeah, I mean, rage mode can take you pretty far.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's a signal. It's telling us something, anger. We gotta hone it sometimes and use it properly to drive us forward, and you did. And now you're using it to help others. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I would not wish that upon anybody to have to go to that like depth, right, of destruction. And again, yeah, I was in a state that like was not protective. So, I mean, I'm not saying that that would happen to everybody, but I mean, you could just go look at the research on how often this happens. It's kind of like a ticking time bomb that's about to happen
Ooh,
the longer you're in the field. And insurance seems to be getting worse. They're paying us
yes.
less than they did 20 years ago.
Yes, I've noticed that. I won't even go into something that happened that says that, but it did. Yes. Mm, yep.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't want to like scare therapists, but like this is the truth too, though. I think we have to be like
We have to
protect
be real.
self-protective.
Yeah, we have to be real. Um, let's see. What was I gonna ask you? Oh no, it popped out of my head. But that's my brain because I'm neurodivergent. And it'll probably come to me like in the middle of the night, and I'll be like, I'll send you an email and be like, maybe I don't know, what do you think about this? And maybe I'll like write a little dialogue. So, and it sounds like you adapt it to each individual, if they want to do like a stepped approach or you adapt it to them, the
Yeah, because
coaching.
we all want something different, right? And that's part of the creative process, right? Is that insurance doesn't allow us to have that creative process. We're all given like an hourly wage, right? We have to fill up the
Mhm.
hourly spots to make a certain amount. And then, we work as much as we can for that money. But with, cash pay, you can have your price be what you need it to be. You can have a full amount of people. You can do intensives. You can do group there. I mean, you can do all kinds of different models and just see what fits best with your nervous system.
Yeah. After you and I talked, and I talked to some other therapists about cash pay, I redid my website with this kind of this mindset change, like explaining why I don't take insurance, explaining, but not over explaining because I tend to do that. But also focusing it on I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like a different mindset than before. I'm stepping into like a new aspect of myself and how I help, I think. And it's showing up in my websites now. So I do think it's very possible to step into private pay, though it seems impossible, because we're in this system that it says it's only insurance or working for someone or, but that's because that's all we've known. But that doesn't mean that's the only way.
Yeah, one of my posts is like running away from insurance like a bad ex, like boyfriend, right? Like that it just feels like a toxic relationship to me. So,
Like that.
um when I
Mhm.
think about that, it's like what are you really doing to yourself? I know it feels like you're getting something out of this because you're getting like these breadcrumbs of oh, here you go. Here's a little bit. Oh, but you don't get this one. I'm like, there are some of the claims I'd be like, I'm $1,000 short. Like, what's up here? And it was just adding up. And I'm like, okay, now I'm $5,000 short. Okay. What,
And
at
then
what point do I
random audit alert.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it was just mistakes that they weren't like, I would submit everything perfectly and they would say no. And then I submit it again and then they say yes. And then other times I spend 5 months trying to figure out what it was. And it wasn't anything I did wrong. They were making mistakes that they were profiting off of. So yeah, it's if you think of it in a relationship way, why would we ever put up with that, like as having a relationship that treats you terribly?
That's so good. Yeah, we gotta break this toxic cycle and step away. I
For
really like
you, I
that.
mean, I'm curious to know for you, like what was the hardest part of
Stepping
stepping
into the
away?
fear, terror that it might not work, terror that they wouldn't pay me, or I don't know, like an imposter syndrome kind of thing too. Like, I can't charge this amount. But then, like, my coach often says micro steps. So I raised it a little, well, not a little. I raised it a little uncomfortable to an amount that's uncomfortable for me, but not to the top yet. I might do that over time, but we're starting with smaller steps. So a micro step to help me adjust to the fear, see what happens. And it's been surprisingly, I was surprised. I am getting calls. People are booking, it's working, um, and, but yeah, fear. I was afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the kind of figuring out like what really is keeping therapists, I guess, stuck. Because I do talk to people that like when I decided to get off insurance years ago, that there are some people who were with me on the journey and I, connect with them and they might still be on it today. Because they might have decided that that was their path, but couldn't fully pull it off. So yeah, I'm just curious, yeah, what's keeping us stuck?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's also, like, the voices of the past, like you were talking about mentors who said, "You can't do that. That's not gonna work." I think that's the majority of what we hear when we look in the Facebook groups and things, about people therapists talking about this, like, "I tried it, didn't work," or "My referrals are down. Why would you do that now?" Oh, that was another one, like, "Don't do that now. The economy is in the toilet." I'm like, "Well, I got it because my gut feeling and this is not working for me anymore. So it's either do this or walk away, I guess, because it
Yeah.
just wasn't working."
Yeah, so you have to either get to that point of like enough is enough, you're fed up, or yeah, you're seeing that it is possible and maybe having better mentors. But yeah, there does seem to be a little bit of a stigma in the field too. That is also what I struggled with and I grieved a lot over this is that I had a group of friends that were also on insurance that were therapists and I felt like they left me out of their circle. Once I went to cash pay, it's like, oh, you're one of them. Like we could never do that to our clients because we're, loyal to our clients. And I'm like, well, I got to be loyal to myself. Why are we forgetting about ourselves? Why is that such a villain role to think of ourselves for once, right?
And it is a business. That's the one I keep saying to myself, like, this is a business. If it's not profiting, this is a hobby. If there's no profit, it's a hobby. Can't pay my bills, it's a hobby, you know? And that I could not just leave it there, and it's always made income, but it needed work. The system was broken in my business. I had to reevaluate it. And it's just at that point it's a numbers thing. And yes, some people are like, no, you can't do that. Well, all right. On to another support group here.
Yeah. But there is that is something else that I think there's a lot of like layers of the process of going fully cash pay that you have to find what's going to work with your nervous system, and you're always learning, always evolving. And but yeah, just sitting in it isn't gonna help, so you have to take some action. But yeah, I wasn't ready for losing. I'm very like community oriented, and that felt like such a big loss that I was tempted to go back on insurance just so I could be like, hey, I'm part of the crew again. We're all going to sit here and complain about how bad our lives are.
Yes. Yeah. And then part of you was like, nope, I can't go back to that.
Yeah, I had to learn to be really on my own. And that's where I started looking for more coaching groups and spaces, because I'm like, this is lonely out here. I am doing cash pay. Wow. But I need a community of other therapists to connect with too. And that is sometimes you have to go online. It might not be in your local area where you find that group.
Yeah, that's good advice. Sometimes we got to look in other spaces and online, thank goodness for it. Oh, I forgot to ask you what you nerd out about. I usually always ask that. What do you nerd out about either in business or in life or both? What do you think?
I mean, I'm like a information addict. So I mean, I read books all the time. So I'm reading like a book every week or whatever. I do practice a lot of like alternative spiritual practices and shamanism. So I've been diving deeply into like ancestral healing.
Hmm.
And then I love doing like any kind of like creative artwork. I'm loving AI lately. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another space I've been having fun, is just having, I don't know, making videos of things with AI is fun. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for my creative healing, as healing from the trauma of insurance, is that like I do painting classes and just things with no structure, that I really enjoy being a kid again. And yeah, coloring, playing with Play-Doh, like stuff like that, that I'm just like, this feels, and nature. So there's a
Yes.
lot that I nerd out on, but I think I'm trying to create a lot more space for creative outlets.
Mm-hmm. I think we're aligned there. I let out the creative self and I just can't put her back in and I don't want to. Love that.
And that actually becomes a source of income too. And not that like what you're always creating becomes it, but it frees up a lot of like mental space that we don't promote that enough in therapy, I think.
Yes. Definitely. It's difficult to express how healing creativity is and why it is, but it is. Anything else you wanted to tell us about your business or how you help therapists? Anything I forgot to ask or anything?
I mean, I think that my advice for all of us in this field is really not to forget about ourselves, and to keep like looking for connection. And because when we're isolated, we might not even know, right, that we're harming ourselves, and till the pain gets like too intense. But I think that we are all collectively feeling burnout. I see burnout, like we've been seeing it for a while, right? It's just out there everywhere.
Mhm.
And not just getting therapy, but yeah, maybe being open to some mentorship of somebody who is like, that was actually the first person I reached out to, was somebody who was charging the highest rate in the state of Idaho that I'm in right now. Is I
Mhm.
just was like, what the hell? Let me ask if she wants to go to coffee. And she's like, yeah, sure. And she's like, you could do this too, you know? So, and she's like, I don't have any special certifications or anything. And she was charging 380 an hour. Her husband
Love
was a
that.
lawyer, so she just figured she should be getting paid as much as he was because she also had high level of education. So
I love
I
that.
am, yeah, I'm proud of that part of me, that version
Mhm.
of myself that was so scared of reaching out to her, but I did anyways. I just press send on the email copy. And so finding somebody who's ahead of you in the game is really, really helpful.
Yes. That's such good advice. And how do people find you, or where could they reach out to you to find out more about your coaching, or how, or getting the Psychology Today handout thing? Where do they find you?
Right now, the best place to find me that I spend the most time on is Instagram. So that's at Rise with Dr. Angie.
Cool.
So I kind of update that more than anything. So they can message me or yeah, look on my links that I have on there or different offers.
Okay. Great. That's very cool. Well, I love this conversation. It was so helpful. A lot of noodle candy, as Scott Perry calls it.
That's a
um,
cute name.
yeah. Thank you, business nerds, for listening. Everyone, take care.